Welcome into the Dynasty Deal Show. I'm Ty Declare 44. I am joined by Scott at Charles Chill FFB and Shane at Shane Says FF on X. Yes, and we're joined by the good people of DDFFB. We're going to be here Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern to answer all your trade questions live. If you want to be here, join the Trades and Chill tier, $3.99 a month on YouTube Premium. Gets you access to this show, Trinity Tuesdays early, everything we got going live up there. And of course, gentlemen, you know if you've watched this show all off-season, all year, I have one rule on this show. If you hear this lovely little sounder, that means we got to move on to the next one because we are short on time. Looking ahead, might not have to use that too much tonight, but it is crunch time. It is win and or go home season. We are in playoffs. It is, well, we can't look hopefully better for next week. No, it is, we need to win right here, right now. And those leagues that don't have those trade deadlines, you can definitely find some value, especially if you're on the outside looking in at this point. And Roy G is in that spot. So in a 12-team start 11, Roy G, PPR, 1 point, tight end premium. His team scraped by in the playoffs. He wanted to give it a shot without giving too much future value, right? He's not like a heavy contender, but maybe we can play the margins here and actually get ahead value-wise. So we sent Travis Hunter, a 27-second, and Arroyo for Pitts and Wandale. Well, that Pitts bet worked out this week, Shane. But talk about that, right? If you don't want to push in too much future value, we want to give it a fair shake because you made the playoffs. Send Hunter a second and Arroyo for Pitts and Wandale.
So he sent, hopefully I'm not on mute. There we go. So he sent, value. These are things with value. Travis Hunter has value, or Arroyo has value, and a second is a second. But yeah, he didn't money 7 in my 28 first. Here's I'm trying to think of a young wide receiver that you could have thrown into this, but I like the deal. I mean, obviously, hindsight, he just had Pitts drop, I don't know, 55 points, somewhere in between 40 and 65 points for you. So it's obviously easy to look at it and go, yeah, that works out well. You didn't give up a lot. You know what I mean? Hunter's probably the biggest piece that you gave up, and it's not a piece that you can't live without because, quite frankly, no, I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say, like, how do we know Travis Hunter's ever going to be better than Wandale Robinson? But that thought is in the back of my head.
Yeah, I don't think you're far off base there at all. And I mean, Scott, like the team's now Herbert, Mariota, Tyrod, Corum, Warren, and backups, JSN, Nico, JMO, DJ Moore, Wandale, Pitts, and Bowers. Still has 2 firsts, and we'll try to spend one of them if he gets through this week. Just talk a bit about like not pushing all of your chips in week 1 of the playoffs, maybe having a little something to play with week after week. And I mean, again, if you want a reason why to push in and to make a move like this, look at what happened for Pitts in this lineup this week.
First off, I think with this, forget about the Pitts performance. We already know what that was. You're probably pretty heavy favorite to advance this week because you got the points from Kyle Pitts. I would take Kyle Pitts before last night's game over Travis Hunter in a 2 PPR. He's just probably going to outscore him. I mean, Travis Hunter for Kyle Pitts in a 2 PPR. As soon as Hunter went down, you're like, I'll take the healthy guy because I bet you their production is very simple. Even if Travis Hunter hits, Kyle Pitts in a 2 PPR is scoring 15, 16 points per game, maybe even more. So I think that's a great trade. And then you turn something, let's be honest, Elijah Arroyo, he has a name, but probably in a terrible situation and has done nothing. And you got a productive wide receiver in Wandale Robinson. So you smash the deal. You got the Kyle Pitts performance. You gave up very little other than stuff that was just kind of sitting in your refrigerator or in your pantry. You weren't using it. You're just waiting till you were really hungry one day. And you're like, fine, I'll make this year-old soup that's been sitting in there. And it tastes good when you have nothing else to eat, but you're really like, man, is this really the life choice I wanted to make? And you're probably going to win. Now you're going to get into the semis, and you could probably double down. Can you sell Kyle Pitts for maybe he's the player that you sell for something different? But you said you didn't even blow any of your picks. You have a first you're willing to spend. Maybe that gets you to the finals. I mean, lesser teams have won titles. You already probably knocked off a better team than what you may have to face in one of your other 2 matchups if you make the finals, because you were, I guess, the 6th seed, I'm guessing, right? Based on what he said about his team.
Yeah.
Probably knocked off the 3rd seed, but you may face a worse team in one of the next 2 games if you make the finals. So I love it. I love this approach. This is why you never give up. Even if your team is kind of middle, if you haven't pushed everything in and you don't have a trade deadline, like once you're in, it's a new market. It's a new league. I have a couple teams that were 4, 5, 6 seeds. And guess what? I have Pitts or Bijan or Kirk Cousins, and I'm going to move on probably. And now I am a live shot to make money in that. So I love the deal. He didn't pay much, kept his flexibility. You have 1 more week. Maybe you blow your first next week. And if you make the finals, then you decide if you really want to make a dent into your future, but you don't have to.
The lovely thing about that too is you get that those 2 teams get knocked out next week. You're gonna have 2 more motivated sellers right in front of you for next week. So if you can keep rolling it, find those new deals, find the right ways to spend those first. I think that could work out really nicely for you, Roy. So good luck. Tanner H, 2021, 12 team start 10, 1.5 tight end premium super flex in a lineup league. Burrow, May, Chase Brown, Warren, Monty, London, Marv, BTJ, Adams, McLaurin, Metcalf, all the wide receivers. Diggs. You got Kittle. He's the 3 seed. Traded his 1st and 2nd for Chase Brown. Have 5 thirds and 26. And then trade London for Cook. Shane, are you with us, my friend?
I hope I am. I don't know. I'm probably several minutes behind you. It's actually next week where you guys are. So congrats to everybody that moved on to the 2nd week of the playoffs. I'll be joining you soon. I actually moved London earlier this week for Cook. I moved London and Chamiri DK for Cook. It's PPC, obviously. London is also not playing football. I'm not sure when he'll play football again. Cook is playing this week. I'm doing this. My only concern is your wide receiver room is absolutely just beat the balls off of it, right? Like BTJ, just disappointed. Marv, crap. London, see you next year. He's gone anyway. But you still have Adams, McLaurin, Metcalf. Like you still have enough wide receivers that I'm comfortable, right? Like I'm fine with Adams, McLaurin as long as he's healthy, he's fine. And then you just got to figure out who to start between Metcalf and Diggs, flip a coin, and end up on Diggs. So I'm good with this deal. And Chase Brown, we've talked about Chase Brown a lot. We talked about him in the same vein last year. There's no way he's going to get replaced because Cincinnati has so many other needs that they're not going to waste any capital on a running back. So I think that still holds true.
Yeah. Okay. Scott, talk to me about a 1st and a 2nd for Chase Brown. And I also want to just hear your quick thoughts on like valuing someone like a London in the playoffs. We know he's going to be a 0 this week. He's not playing. What is the appropriate like tax to get off of a 0 if you're holding that 0, especially in like a playoff context?
Well, let's start with the first trade. 1st and a 2nd. You paid a little bit, probably more than I would have wanted, just because I'd rather approach that type of mercenary deal in my lineup, as I only want to give up one of those 2, preferably maybe just the 2nd. Like, could I have gotten another Jalen Warren for a 2nd only? Maybe you couldn't. I mean, maybe this was the market. You needed a deal done by the start of like Thursday night, and there was one team willing to go back and forth, and that's what you had to end up paying. That happens. That's why if you get in the playoffs, if you advance this week and you don't have a trade deadline, like you need to be sending those deals out like Tuesday morning. What do I know I want to move? What do I definitely want to not start this week? Like, what is the edge? Who can I go to try to pry somebody off of them? So I think you overpaid a little bit, but okay, you have 5 thirds next year. I can live up giving that an extra 2nd if I had to. Then the next deal, trading London, like we had a conversation about this today. You just have to be real calculated if you're trading a cornerstone piece. I don't want to say he's like a cornerstone piece, but he's close. The thing I don't hate about it with this team is you do have some receivers that like you can use. So if you're going to trade him, is James Cook a top 8 running back going into the offseason? I think he probably is if he finishes pretty strong. But you're shifting your construction a little bit, right? Like you don't have the liquidity anymore. You know, if James Cook got a month-long injury, there's no way people would trade him close to what Drake London would still go for right now, even though London might be out the rest of the year. So there's that. But I'm fine with it. Like if you can get a player that you think can give you equivalent or more production in the same spot, and do I prefer Drake London in 2029 over James Cook? Sure. But in the next 2 or 3 years, I don't think it's that big of a difference. I think we got way too scared at some point in Dynasty Tie of like trading for the 25-year-old running back that's like in his 4th or 5th year that he's just going to retire. And When you've been as good as James Cook, even as good as somebody like Chase Brown, like he's going to get another chance. May not be the same role, may not be the same offense. He may never peak at what he was this year or next year. Same with James Cook. But they're not going to go away. They're not going to go to zero. And we've seen receivers that are high-end wide receiver twos, and then they kind of go backwards a little bit, and then they're not elite anymore, and then they're very good, but they're not elite, and then they go from very good to, well, they're getting a little older. Like, that's like Calvin Ridley, you know what I mean? He was always a good receiver, but as he starts to slow down, very quickly he goes from an asset that just becomes one of many, many others. So I'm fine with it. Hopefully it wins it for you. Probably don't have many other moves you can make. Like, what I'm not doing, Ty, is trading Marv or Kyron Williams. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not doing it again just because I need a starter. I'll live with what I have. You're throwing in Diggs, Metcalf. You just hope you put a lineup in there that hits this week and see what happens next week.
Yeah, we got a little squirrely in Dynasty, gosh, a few years ago with that running back position, and just, anyone can go. Like, no one, like, I want nothing to do with running back value. It seems like it snapped back a bit, but I think the lesson that I've taken from it is I don't want to get into running backs like a James Cook for the quote unquote dynasty value. It's all about what he does for my roster today. On Tanner's team here, I can see why that makes sense. You have a pretty flush wide receiver room. If you can make that work, you plug in James Cook, I'm cool with it. But like you said, Scott, like, long-term, whatever, year over year, you got to know, what does that actually do for your team? And does that price make sense for you? So I like it, Tanner. Yeah, first and a second. I'm probably not going to be the one to pay the first and a second for Chase Brown, but depends how much you need that those points right now in the lineup. But those are the kind of deals you're going to see this time of year, right? Shouts out Vapad. He's made a couple deals this week. I know that for sure. Let's go to Mr. Jordan Jackson. 12-team start 11, Superflex 1.0 tight end premium, and they're in the playoffs. Hell yeah. Quentin Johnston and Caleb Johnson for Debo and Monty. Added depth in case of positional injury. Scott, how much do you prep for injury, especially if we do have no trade deadline in the playoffs?
No trade deadline, I don't really care. Once I have my lineup set for the week, I know that all those players are going to play. I'm probably going to be very picky if I'm making a trade that doesn't really impact my lineup. Especially with what you said earlier, like two teams are going to get knocked out. Shane and I talked about this on Mannequin Chill. I think the two teams getting knocked out is more valuable than not getting the deal done a little bit early. Just because you're probably going to have a more robust market of supply that comes in the next week. You just got to know what your weaknesses are. Like, you're going to know if injuries happen on Sunday. Like, hey, I've been starting this guy and he's got a concussion. Like, he could play, but I'm not banking on it. I know I need to fill in that spot. So just be calculated. But this trade, I mean, Quentin Johnston's been unplayable for 2 months. Caleb Johnson doesn't play, and he's probably moved into the territory of, you would love that he has one average David Montgomery year. Like, you'd probably bet on David Montgomery to outproduce Caleb Johnson for the next year or two. And so, like, you didn't give up anything here. Like, you added two depth pieces that you don't trust as depth pieces for two depth pieces that maybe you trust a tiny bit more. So, like, I personally wouldn't hate doing this deal on the other side, because you look at the Debo and Monty, and if you're on a team that's out of it, you're like, what do I do with those guys? Will anyone give me a third? So I don't hate it for the other side, but it feels like a very transactional deal, Shane, that those types of players on if they're on your bench and they're not picks, but they're also unusable, there's a very select list of guys I'm like, oh, that's a 2027 play or a 2026 play. And these two are not necessarily that. So I'm fine with the trade.
Yeah. Excuse me. Caleb Johnson, obviously he doesn't mean anything to your roster or anyone's roster, except for whatever UFL team he ends up on.
And you're still in the past. So he's still a first-round rookie pick. The present says he doesn't play football.
Right. Well, with the Buffalo Stampeders, he is not balling out. But and QJ, yeah, exactly. He hasn't done anything in 2 months. So QJ had the same year he had last year in 2024, except it's worse. At least he had a longer run last year where he fooled us. This year it was a very brief window where he fooled us again, but not 3 years in a row. I'm not falling for it next year probably. So I don't care about moving them. It's just, again, and I know this is every trade you make is probably the best you could do. It's just, I don't know. How does this really help me right now? I guess it helps you from the perspective. Yes, I'd rather start Debo. Yes, I'd rather start Monty. So I'm fine with it. It doesn't really make it move much. You know what I mean? It's like, it's
Well, if you didn't have a
not limp,
deadline, though,
but
if you didn't have, I'm going to ask you a theory question, Shane. If you didn't have the deadline, but those two players aren't going in your lineup, would you have rather held on to Caleb Johnson and Quentin Johnston until next week and try to find a better trade? Or it feels like, now that I think about it more, if there's no deadline, but he traded to bury Debo and David Montgomery on his bench, did you really help yourself at all right now? Or are you just kind of at the mercy of whatever could happen this week? I mean, Jalen Warren could get injured or Kenneth Gainwell could get injured. Like, well, maybe Caleb Johnson could. I mean, you never know, but it feels like you traded the two younger players that maybe somebody might want for just two guys that you hope you don't have to use. You know what I mean?
And just the problem with making that deal is, like, I'm not using those players. Something better available could become available the following week. I'd rather use it to make my starting lineup better, right? Like, all the moves I'm making right now are so that my starting lineup is as strong as possible, because that's what's going to win me the title. If injuries ravaged me the last 2 weeks of the season, well, guess what? God hates me, and that was going to happen no matter what. So I'm generally not trying to build depth in week 15. Is that what we're in? Week 15? I'm more concerned about my starting lineup, and could I have used one of those players, both of those players, plus something else to make my starting lineup better. And I know Caleb really isn't appealing in any way, but there's always those little deals you could do, right? Like, could you trade Caleb and Quentin Johnston for Devin Neal and something, and throw Devin Neal in your starting lineup? Can you move one of those or both of those dudes for a starting quarterback? I don't know what the quarterbacks look like on there, but it just feels like I'd rather use those players to try to strengthen my starting lineup.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, Shane, is like moving those like young players, the Caleb, the QJ, feels like those are the pieces that like you probably will be able to move more likely to the other people in your league who are not currently competing against you, because Monty and Debo, they're going to help contenders. So maybe if you get knocked out, you at least have pieces to send to a contender as well. But Caleb, Nick, Sanders, Geno, Richardson, JT, Chase Brown, Monty, Mason, Rice Ladd, Terry, Watson, Debo, Moore, Pitts. I love that, Pitts, Kittle, and Juwan. I don't think depth is even your issue here. So I do hope you do find ways to kind of make that value work for you, and maybe just wanted off that QJ, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, can't get fooled again. Maybe just taking that headache out of your life is worth it. But thank you, Mr. Jordan Jackson. Good luck this week in the playoffs. McQuinn, 114, 10 team, 0 tight end premium, Superflex start 10. Drake May, T-Law, Stafford, Daniel Jones, Gibbs, Bucky, Demont, Woody, K9, Chase, London, Wandale, Adams, Vele, Hunter, Hill, Fannin, Hawk, and Likely. Finishing first. 4 teams make the Week 15 final. Just sold my 26 first, May, Io Manor, and a 27 third to a Pats homer to get Lamar, CMC, and Kittle to push for the win, hoping it pays off. So, Scott, when I read that 4 teams make the Week 15 final, do you read that as like a multi-week like final with multiple teams?
I don't know. I think you may have to clarify, because I read it as 4 teams made the Week 15 is the fantasy finals. Is that right?
That's it.
I would hope that's not the case. That means your fantasy finals are now versus the next couple of weeks. I wonder if there's some sort of like all play or something like that. I mean, it is a 10-teamer. A lot of 10-teamers only have 4 teams make the finals. So I wonder if he means 4 teams make the Week 17 finals or something like that.
Maybe.
I'm assuming it's only 4 teams total out of 10 that makes it. 6 out of 10 is a little. If any of us had a 10-teamer, we wouldn't have 6 make it. That's too many.
Oh, hold on. I am in a 10-team home league.
Where 8 make it.
7 teams make the playoffs. 7 teams.
I was in one where 8 out of 10 make it. Like it.
Come on.
Let's just sim to the playoffs. You know what I mean?
Really.
There is no regular season. So,
Okay. But I mean,
well, let's look at the trade. First,
yeah.
May and Iamaner, and a third to a Pats homer to get Lamar and CMC. I mean, in a 10x10, you took a gamble on May for Lamar, but it is a 10x10. And I mean, you're buying Lamar, quote unquote, low. 2 months ago, you'd have been like, wow, I got Lamar for Drake May. I'm fine with that. And then I don't value the 26 first that much here in a 10-team shallow league. You got McCaffrey for a late first, Iamaner in a third. Yeah.
Yeah, come on.
If it works, it works. If it works, you're going to smash the league. If it doesn't, you're like, man, I traded for 2 aging players, but yeah, all day I'm doing this trade. I think Shane probably agrees. And you got Kittle. I didn't even see that, but yeah, you got Kittle added in. I mean, yeah, come on.
Yeah. Shane, in a 0 tight end premium, Kittle, like, is just, what is that worth to your roster? Like, how are you constructing in a no tight end premium 10x10?
How cheap can I get the tight end that's going to start for me? I mean, Kittle is scoring what?
And cheap in this deal, basically free. And he can give you a crooked, right? That's what you're chasing.
Yeah, he could. I'm just looking up what his scoring is in non-tight end premium leagues. That's a lot of work. It's probably what, 13 points per game? Is that where he's at? Roughly? Sure. We'll say it's 13.
Hopefully you didn't go up against Kyle Pitts.
Well, you went up against Kyle Pitts. It's over. Your life is done. Wow, I am good. 13.3 points per game is what George Kittle's averaging this year. It's fine in a tight end premium because that's absolutely going to smash, and catches are worth more. I don't know if you guys knew that in the tight end premium, but they are. In a non tight end premium though, what's that work out to? Like wide receiver 25?
He has like to sit Harold Fannin for George Kittle.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like sitting Harold Fannin. I do not like it all. His target shares have been 30%, 19%, and 29% in the 3 games that Shedeur Sanders has started. David Njoku is out, I believe, right? So those whatever targets and snaps he was going to get, guess where they're going? To our dude Harold Fannin. From that perspective, I don't want to be put in a position where I'm benching Harold Fannin. George Kittle could produce as well as Fannin, but I could have gotten Fannin to produce for that same, but for free. So, and
you want a hot take? The tight end on his team that will have the most points this week will be Isaiah Likely against Cincinnati. He'll be nowhere near your lineup, but like that is the kind of guy where I would have, if I could have just started him and not played George Kittle this week, I could have won.
Yeah. So it's nice you got him added for free.
And Isaiah Likely, you could get really cheap, right, Ty? Like, what did you take for Isaiah Likely?
Yeah, I sent you Isaiah Likely in 2/4 for what was it, Tez Johnson?
Tasmanian Johnson. That's right. Yeah. So Likely's a good dart throw this week.
100%. Maybe Shane, don't doubt your abilities with numbers. We know that you're good with numbers. We know Scott's the big film guy. We all have what things that we're known for. M Talbot, 0-16, 12-team start, 8, 1 quarterback, 0.5 PPR, and a 0 tight end home league. M Talbot's the number 1 seed with the bye. They traded Justin Jefferson and their 27 first for Jamar Chase. That team's now Herbert, Stafford, Saquon, JT, Marks, Chase, Puka, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, and Diggs, Ferg, and that man, Kyle Pitts. So, Shane, I'll stick with you here, man. Jetta's in a 27 first for Jamar. 12 by 8, 1 quarterback, shallow. That's the price, huh?
Yeah, that's the price. It's only half PPR. Can you bring up the rest of his roster? Just looking at that, Saquon, JT. Would I be out of line if I said I'd rather have made that move for a running back? Is what he marks is fine as your RB3, right? But in half PPR, I kind of want to go get another monster running back, which I'm pretty sure I could get with Jefferson in the first. I'll say this: it's start 8. Is that what it was? Start 8. So I don't really care about giving up the 27 first on top of Jefferson, who's averaging like 12 points per game and has had multiple games where he's been under 10 points. I'm trying to win a title, so I'm fine with the cost. I probably would have looked at running back, but
how high are you aiming if you were looking at running back?
Oh, we're going top of the charts. Can I get a chain? Which seems absurd to trade Jefferson and a first for a chain, but whatever. I love me some a chain, and he's balling. So could I get a chain? Could I move Jettas for Cook without adding a first? Something like that. But I mean, again, based off what you paid, I'm not mad at you. I'm fine with this deal. It's just I would have preferred to go after a running back.
For sure. Scott, are you in lockstep with that? Do you see that any differently in a 12x8?
No, I mean, you're shooting for just the elite players, and maybe this was the one that you could get right in the moment. We don't know if there's a trade deadline, so you didn't have to play this week. It feels like next week we are going to see a lot of Kyle Pitts teams in the semis, and they're going to be cursing his name when he puts up 6 points because he's going to be 100% started next week, right? Guaranteed. Every team that got him there is going to jam him in. And it just feels like, I mean, I get it. You had the bye. You already have the best team. But, man, it feels like you're going to jam Pitts in next week. And then Jake Ferg's going to have 2 touchdowns. And you're going to go like, oh, man, it's the pain of having that platoon. But you know what? You got time, right? You got time to go out and shop. Can I shop Devontae Adams for a running back? Like, can I shop A.J. Brown for a running back? Like, you kind of have a little excess at receiver. I can live with starting any of those. I mean, here's one for you, Ty. In a 10x8 or 12x8, you only have 8 starters, right? You know you're starting a tight end, and you know you're starting 2 running backs, and you know you're starting Justin Herbert probably. Do you really want to start Puka, Stafford, and Devontae Adams? Like, are you okay living in a super shallow matchup with all 3 of those guys? And they've smashed. Like, it's been probably the best trio in the league. But do you feel, would you be willing to move off of one of those guys? Like, if you could get Achane for Puka, would you do it? Like that type of trade to shift things a little bit, maybe give yourself a little higher upside in a given week. Now you're just relying on Adams and Stafford.
Because that's just it, right? 12x8, I want the highest outcome I can. That doesn't mean I want to lock in the wide receiver 1 and 2 and the quarterback 1 of a single offense if I can. So yeah, I'd be down to do that. I'd also be down to move like Devontae Adams and Woody Marks and see how high I can climb up the running back ladder that way as well. But yeah, I'm down to split up that offense if I can versus just betting everything on them.
Move Devontae Adams plus Kyle Pitts. Remove the temptation to rely on him again and just combine the 2 and be like, hey, can you give me, I don't know, I was going to say Kyron Williams, but you're defeating the purpose by acquiring another Ram. Can you get, I don't know, another running back that's in the usable.
Sean Judkins, Travion Henderson.
Somebody you feel comfortable about for the next week or 2 that's not going to be a complete zero. I mean, worth a try.
Yeah. Worth a try. Yeah. Well, hey, good luck there, M. Talbot. I'll be in a number 1 seed with a bye is always a good way to get through week 15. Buck Wilder, 1 of 2. It's a 12x11.5 tight end premium super flex, and we got to start 2 tight ends. It's got Stroud, Kyler, running back Cans, Garrett Wilson, BTJ, Loveland, Gadsden, and Terrence Ferguson. Got Helm as well. 101, 5 seconds, 3/3, 11 fourths.
14.
Yeah. Side quest almost complete to get all of them. Yeah. Good luck with that. Obviously devoid of talent, probably 101 and 27-2. Trade BTJ in 2 seconds for London. Too much if it's the 201 and 202. What side positions me best to compete in 27? So Scott, when you have these teams that are just so devoid of like players, but have a large, bucket full of picks, what kind of moves are you making to start to put the pieces together to eventually make that a team that can compete?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the other assets that he has. I mean, what's he got? He's got the 101, and then he's got 19 picks on top of that in this draft. So right there, I mean, we're already at a spot where you're never going to be able to make all those picks. Even if you made most of them, you're still a complete zero on picking up guys off waivers, churning and burning roster spots, etc. So right there, I'm already thinking I need to shed some of these picks. And of course, you want to shed the fourths. Maybe not, since you're looking for that side quest. Tune into DDFFB mock draft after dark, Shane, where we'll be doing strictly 4th round rookie mocks.
Oh, I can't wait. It's going to be
We will
fun.
take the top 36 players off the board and just do 4th round mocks for Buck Wild. But no, like, you have to shed some picks. And the 4ths probably have no value because you have them all. Like, you're kind of stuck with whatever that side quest goal is. You're stuck with that. So you move a couple of those other. You have 5 seconds. Sure, you maybe had to give up the couple best 2. But, I mean, you got off of I know we kind of still like BTJ, but, like, you're getting Drake London for a guy that has a lot more risk, and you really don't care about the result this year. I'm totally fine with this trade. I'd be fine with it if you had no picks, but you have tons of picks and you're easily going to be able to fill every one of your roster spots. So smash deal.
Shane, any comment on this trade or, building those teams that have a lot of picks but not a lot of players?
I mean, I don't love giving up 2 seconds in addition to BTJ, but also what is BTJ worth right now? I mean, from a value perspective, you didn't lose anything. If you come back next year and you're not competing, you know what you can do? You can flip London. I mean, I'm just going to assume that he's going to come back from, I don't even know what's wrong with him. What's it, a knee injury? Whatever the hell's wrong with him, where they're putting him on quiet shutdown mode. I have a feeling that he'll come back next year and still be a top 8 performing wide receiver. So if things go wrong, you could always move him, and you'll probably be able to move him for more than a distressed asset like BTJ, whoever that might be at that time, in a couple seconds. So I'm fine, because you could easily just turn around and cash out on this and make a profit.
It is a knee. You had that right. So put on your injury doctor hat as well there, Shane. I'll stick with you here as well for FF Matt D, 12x10 Superflex PPR and a 0.5 tight end premium. We got Dart, T-Law, and A-Rich. Backups at running back, Addison, Franklin, Burden, Trey Harris, and others. We got Pitts and Kraft. Everyone here tonight has that Pitts, so good on y'all. Have the 101 and 102, 201 and 202 locked up. Another first and 3 seconds and 4 thirds. So again, tons of picks. Trade Dart and Pitts for Justin Jefferson, a 26th third and 27th third. I'm leaning towards staying with Dart with what the quarterback class is looking like in 26, but curious what you guys think. So I guess I said I was going to stick with Shane. So Shane, seeing here, man, like Jefferson in 2 thirds, like you mentioned, what is Jefferson scoring? Like 12, 13 points a game right now, like a bit of a frustrating offensive situation with JJ McCarthy and everything. I feel like getting Dart and Pitts at those scarce positions, that makes me feel more flexible versus just getting a wide receiver in 2 thirds. Especially just looking at, again, just the depth of this team already and the picks you have. I want to be as flexible as I can. I'd rather have my quarterback and tight end options, locked up and feeling good about them. How do you feel there? Jefferson in 2 thirds for Dart and Pitts.
It's hard sometimes playing Dynasty, putting aside what a player was 6 months ago compared to what they are right now. If someone would have made a deal similar to this, or offered me a deal similar to this, whatever the Dart equivalent was last year, I would probably kick them in their balls or vagina, depending on who it was. I would absolutely lose my mind that someone would send me that. I'd be like, this is a trash trade offer. But, we move 6 minutes down the road. JJ scoring 12 points per game. He's wide receiver 30. I expect that he'll bounce back. But, yeah, I mean, assuming Dart can stop running headfirst into things, he's probably going to be an elite quarterback. And Pitts, well, I mean, look, he can score 55 points anytime, right? No, but he's anytime. At least he's a top 8 tight end with upside ceiling to be higher than that. So I'm okay with that. I'm fine staying with Dart and Pitts right there. Because yes, the 2026 class, it's looking like Dante Moore and who else? Ty Simpson's not coming out, not after his last month. So yeah, I'm fine sticking.
Scott, talk to me here. Jefferson 2 thirds for Dart and Pitts, and also for a team in a deep rebuild as this, what should be looking to do with those early firsts?
I mean, it is a team that's kind of lacking total pieces, so I just don't think I have to do this deal. It's not probably what I want to do with the Dart share that I already have, and definitely after this week, I'm assuming this trade has not gone through yet. We don't know, but I'm guessing it hasn't. So Pitts is more appealing next week. Like, it would be totally reasonable if you said, you know what, I'm going to shop Pitts around instead of throwing him into a deal like this. Because I honestly, right now, I don't think on a team like this, even a team where you said it, Shane, like if a team I'm contending and I have an extra quarterback, like I'm not sure Justin Jefferson really helps me that much right now. So like you have no pressure to do this deal. Jefferson, you also have Jordan Addison. I actually just traded Jordan Addison away on a team where I had Justin Jefferson because I'm just like, man, They feel like they're bets that kind of are counterintuitive at this point. So yeah, I don't think you need to do this. I think you sit. I think you wait for another opportunity to come up. As far as the first, I mean, here's the good news. This isn't a class where you're probably going to have a ton of options. And I was just going through kind of the class with somebody today, and another content creator, I won't say who it is, but they said right now, and I kind of agreed with this plan, is that I would send any pick below the 103 for a 27 first, especially if I can get back into the back half of this year's first round. So instead of being able to just buy back into the first round, because it's hard to go just buy like the 110, 111, 112 from somebody, they're probably going to want too much just because it's their pick and you want it. But maybe you try to trade away some of those middle tier picks, which you don't have any here, but on teams where you might have the 105, 106, 104, trade those and make the picks at the 111, 112. That's the part where people are going to go, oh, those guys suck. This is a weak class. But how many classes have we looked back and we're like, damn, the 110 through 112 was literally better than the 105 through 107. If you'd have just made the picks there because you were forced to, instead of oftentimes like last year, oh, I have to trade up to get into that Judkins Henderson tier, Harvey tier, then you trade up and you're like, oh yeah, but I could have had Dart, Egbuka. If I would have just sat and I couldn't have got the trade done. It feels like this is the class to do it because that back end is already going to be undesirable. So it's interesting, but yeah, I'm probably just picking BPA, even if it's a third quarterback, even if you go Love and Mendoza.
Yeah, Mendoza.
And that just is what it is. Whoever it is, I'm probably just making the best player available pick and worrying about it. You have another year probably, Matt.
Excellent. Oh, good luck, FF Matt D. Yeah, not in a hurry to spend those first. Let them thing matriculate. Play the board up and down. Just be open, be flexible. That's the best thing you can do. Tailor-made, 12-team start 10, Superflex, PPR, and a 0.5 tight end premium. We got May, Burrow, and Shuck, Hampton, Judkins, Scadaboo, Neighbors, London, Tet, Hunter, Michael Wilson, and Troy Franklin. Gadsden, 104, 106. Ideas to move first with players to upgrade or draft the picks. Or player-wise, what is the 1-6 worth? And what would you be willing to give that up for? I have a couple more slides there as well from TaylorMade, but starting right there, Shane, ideas to move first with players to upgrade or just draft the picks. Looking at this team here, do you see any upgrades that make sense, positions you would try to address or prioritize with those picks?
Let's see. We're pretty strong at quarterback, right? Running back looks pretty stacked. Those wide receivers, assuming health, look pretty good at Neighbors, London, and Tet. I'm not in a rush to move those picks right now. If something presents itself, sure. Like just thinking, if someone were to be like, "Oh, do you want JSN for Tet and the 106?" Okay, sure, I'll think about that, but I'm not in a rush to move any of these picks right now. Your team's strong enough that you don't have any immediate holes. And that doesn't mean you don't look to upgrade, at certain positions. Tight end, I guess, sure. But do you really want to add a first rounder to Gadsden to move up to Tyler Warren? Like, I don't think so. I think I just sit tight. Like, you got plenty of time. I hate preaching patience, but you got plenty of time till you need to make a move. So I'm just going to hold and let these picks accrue some value.
Scott, when I look at this, I think, can I take that 104 in Gadsden? Can I get up to the Bowers McBride level? He said Tyler Warren. I don't mind that one either. For just to jump to this question as well, like what is the 106 worth? This is where I jump over to, John Bowers tiers. And in that range, like quarterback, you'd be looking at Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield, maybe Caleb Williams, something like that. Looking at Breece Hall, Kyron Williams, Chase Brown, RJ Harvey. That's where you're looking at BTJ, Romo Dunze, Olave, Marv, AJ Brown, Sam Laporta, Harold Fannin, right? Like that kind of cluster of players where you can look higher, you can aim lower. But Scott, he also has 327 first. He has all these picks and like a decent team already. Any ideas stand out to you looking at this situation?
Yeah, there's a few. I mean, the team is, I think, good enough to go into next year that you are at least live contender to be in the playoffs. Your quarterback room has no pressure to have to get another quarterback. It's actually one you could probably move a quarterback if you wanted, but I'd be fine going into my year with that quarterback room. Tight end, it's a 0.5 point premium. I mean, here's the thing. I think Gadsden's usage earlier in the year was a product of the way the Chargers were playing when they wanted to play the way they're playing. I think they've had to totally change their offense. So actually, as much as I don't think he's like what you thought he was 2 months ago when he was really blowing up in usage, I don't think he's just bad. I think it's somewhere in between. I think he's going to be startable. Like, honestly, his best comp right now is like something of like what kind of Kyle Pitts has become. I don't even know if he gets there, but that's a guy you probably could have just started for most of his rookie deal, and you would have been disappointed half the time and happy the other half. So I think you can be flexible, like Shane was saying. I think this is also one where you're going to value the 104 way more than the 106, but you don't have a pressing need. So which one of those is there a true market for? I bet you the 104, you're close enough where you could maybe go buy like Garrett Wilson. Someone like that you feel is good, but maybe just is a little undesirable right now. But then you look up and you're like, Shane, are you really taking the wide receiver 2 in this class over Garrett Wilson? Maybe, but it's not a guarantee. And then you still have the 106. So I'd be willing to shop one, but it's probably going to be that the 104 is going to be more desirable. But the 106 might be the one where you're forced to pick and you're like, oh, I just added a wild card. It could end up being the best player in the class. So, and you have 327s. I'll tell you what, I might go to the other team or two that's kind of on the fringe of they don't know what they're doing with their team. Can I offer the 106 straight up for their 27 first? And if they say no, I'd be willing to, because I have the 106, I might be willing even to do the 104. Will you give me your 27 first and a receiver that I might be able to use next year, or running back I might be able to use next year for the 104? I'll do it. Because this team, I don't think I don't think there's anything you can do with this draft class that makes this team like a slam dunk top 2 team in the league next year. You're going to have to push at least one of these assets forward, but it is a live team. And here's where the key is, Ty. If you get to next year and you're like the 4th best team and you've added like 1 or 2 more players that are usable, grinded the waiver wire, maybe added a few guys that you might end up using during the season, you're also the team with 4 27 firsts. And if you think they're hard to get now, wait until there's 6 teams that are out of it and they see a class that can have 5 first-round quarterbacks and 3 or 4 cornerstone non-quarterback players. Like, you're literally in the driver's seat where it's like, remember the deal earlier where somebody is getting, what is it, Chase for Jefferson and they had to give up a first? Mm-hmm. Like, that's like, I give you, 2 of these first for Chase, 2 of these first for Achane, like something like that. And you just buy whoever you want. So you're in a good spot. Don't rush it.
100%. Jeffrey Jacob says Gadsden 104 is enough for Bowers McBride. If there is any premium, he'd pass on that in any format. Keep the stud tight end. Don't necessarily disagree disagree there. I when Gadsden was like his 2nd or 3rd week in HVV, even Scott, I offered my McBride for Gadsden and a first, 3 out of 3 rejects. So that the steam was there. I can understand why the steam would have wore off there a little bit.
The just speaking of that, so I got a little sneak peek at the new Trinity tool that will be debuting here soon. Trey McBride is his usage this year relative to like running that historical tab. I'll just give everybody a taste. Trey McBride is, if you have any tight end premium, Trey McBride is the number 1 player in Dynasty. Bar none. And if you're in like a 175 or a 2 PPR, I mean, but his usage is, I mean, he blows Brock Bowers away by like 30%. And that's saying something. Like, the only comps in the entire database are like Mark Andrews' blow up season and Travis Kelce's 2nd and 3rd best season ever. You're like, his floor is Rob Gronkowski in like his 4th best year. That's the floor. That's if like he has a bad year. He's still the tight end 1. I mean, ridiculous. But anyway.
So you're saying it's a good year for me to have like McBride as my most owned player in Dynasty.
I'm saying it's a good deal that you did not sell McBride for Gadsden in a random first in a league where tight ends can literally score. What did Pitt score in HVV? 89 yesterday. I mean, and McBride's going to give you like 3 of those games a year. Maybe not the 3 touchdowns, but we're getting there.
100%. Yeah, no, well, hey, even McBride, when he only scored what 2 touchdowns all year. He was like almost the same as Bowers was points per game wise. So like now that the touchdowns are there, maybe a different quarterback, a little different flow to the offense. Good for McBride, man. Shane, just back to TaylorMade here. Once the offseason hits and trading open back up, do you guys make trades right away or take a break from fantasy for a bit and just look into the offseason and prospects? Just talk a little about your transition from point scoring season and playoffs into the offseason in these early months.
There's no break. What are we talking about? All gas, no breaks, baby. I never stop. I just, when I take a break from Dynasty football is when my league mates stop responding to me and I'm forced to take a break. That's literally it. Because I'm just going to keep going. I'm looking to make moves immediately. That's just my personality, though. You know what I mean? Like I have trouble sitting still. I don't know if anyone's ever watched me on a podcast. This is indicative of me in the rest of my life. I have a very hard time not doing anything. So I have to be doing something at all times. So that's partly why I'm in 30 leagues or whatever, because there's always one to go to. And like, all right, that didn't work. Let me go to the next one and see what else I can do. So I'm literally always trying to make moves.
Some people have fidget spinners. Some of us have sleeper app. Yeah, no, same. I just, my league mates check out. That's one thing. Some of like in my home league, I have it set up where like free agency and waiver wires are shut down until NFL free agency comes through, but trading is still wide open. Just take a little bit of the grind work away from like January, February. But no, I personally don't stop. I'm always trying to look for opportunities and see who's up and active. Yeah. Let's end this one off with our guy, Not Great Bob, the commissioner of DD Heisman leagues. 12, 2 quarterback, 2 tight end, a 6-point passing touchdown, -4 interception, 0.3 point per carry, 1.25 wide receiver PPR, and a 2 tight end PPR. Give Jaden Daniels, BTJ for Dak, Fannin, and Manungai. So Brian needed a QB. All of his others are injured. Tried the backup market already. So this is the only deal that's available to him. I'm going to assume this is a start 12 team league, start 12 with all of these settings here, Scott. So I can see the gears in your brain spinning with the tabulations of where all these points scored and how that all lays out. Talk to me. Daniels, BTJ for Dak, Fannin, and Manungai.
So break it down. So we have the scarcity at tight end and at quarterback, right? You got to start 2 each. You have the efficiency squeeze at quarterback as well with the 6-4, which means you probably lean towards guys that can run because they're just not going to have as much volatility. But there's only maybe 4 or 5 quarterbacks that come to mind that I'm like, they don't really run, but I kind of like, I'm still fine with like Burrow in this format or Dak, like somebody that I know can throw way more touchdowns than interceptions, like pretty efficient. Like I'm okay with making that bet. You're taking a loss at quarterback. There's no doubt. Both in a 2 QB and with the scoring format, you're taking a loss. But he said he tried. You got to have one. You can't just take a 0 in the playoffs. You might have to take, that's the thing is you can't just start another player. You actually have to start 2. So, you really couldn't get like Kenny Pickett, Brady Cook, you know what I mean? Phillip Rivers. Like that's the thing. There were opportunities this week to probably add at least a quarterback or 2 for free. But anyway, that aside, I take Fannin over BTJ by a mile in a 2 PPR. So we're not even close there. So that's where you got your value back. And then, Manungai and Swift are both going to get carries, and it's 0.33 point per carry. So you got a viable flex in a start 12. I can live with it. You maybe took a little bath on Jaden Daniels, but Dak's not going anywhere for a couple of years. Worry about it later. I think you probably got a good you probably made your team much better in the short term. There's no doubt. You upgraded 3 lineup spots probably because anybody of these non-quarterbacks you're throwing in is probably better or more trustworthy than BTJ. So I'm fine with it. You're going for the ship, and you leaned into the format too. I think you got your value back with Manungai and with Fannin in this format. So good with it. Good trade.
Yeah. I'm here with you. Fannin over BTJ and a 2 tight end, 2 PPR. 0.33 point per carry.
There's people that probably would value Fannin over Dak just because it's 2 PPR and 2 tight end. Like you guys have been in those leagues. They don't move.
No.
That you never want to pay the price, but they don't move. The person that hit on Fannin is like, yeah, I can't trade him unless I'm getting one of like 6 other tight ends back. And you're like, that kind of defeats the purpose when I need a tight end. So yeah, he's very valuable there.
Yeah. People like Benungai, and a 0.33 point per carry, even more viable. But yeah, the Jaden to Dak, talk to me, Shane. How much is that worth? Because I see people kind of poo-pooing the Jaden Daniels now that we're not in the rookie season hype anymore, I guess.
Sorry. If I'm trying to win right now, I get the move. I do. But what?
You never thought Ty was going to ask you to kick this question.
I definitely did. I wasn't looking at mattress toppers. Stop it. Anyway, definitely wasn't.
It's like after 9:45, it only goes to one of us, so I can just check out for the next 5 minutes while Scott dies.
I'm just saying, if anyone knows has any suggestions for mattress toppers, go ahead and DM me. That's fine. Queen size. Anyway, firm, a little firm. I like the gel ones. I think a little harder. Anyway, yeah. To Scott's point, considering the premium, it's 2-point tight end, or it's 2-point tight end premium. Yeah, I'd want Fannin over BTJ. Manungai and Dak is fair for Jaden. I still love Jaden. I still think he's going to be very good, notwithstanding this year when he's gotten absolutely obliterated every time he's touched the field. But we saw last year, like the dude is special. But all that said, just because Dak doesn't, I hate giving Dak credit because he's a Cowboy. But just because he isn't perceived as special by everyone, I mean, the guy kind of is, he's kind of elite most years. So I'm fine with the deal on the right-hand side.
No worries there. Yeah, I've just been trying to find ways to get myself into Fannin across any league that I can. I know Josh has run out of leagues to add Fannin to. So definitely a hot commodity for me. Definitely the format. I'm trying to prioritize that. I think I'd make that move too. Swap those quarterbacks, give me the upgrade in Fannin and then the shot of Manungai. Okay. That's all the trades we have for tonight. So thank you everyone that came out. Scott, Shane, any final words, any final thoughts going into week 15 here with where you're at, your teams, moves you're trying to make?
Yeah, I think we should maybe spend the last 2-3 minutes. Let's talk about the conundrum that Shane dealt with. I think it was very cool. I think people can learn from that.
And it's funny is I'm the one that put it out there because I'm playing. So here it is. So I had an offer on on the table of getting Jalen Hurts. It's 2-quarterback league. Let's put that out there. I would have had to give up Bijan.
And it's a 3 running back league, right?
Start 3 running backs.
So that kind of nullifies the 2 QBs because good running backs are also really hard to get.
I would have had to give up Bijan, Kyler Murray, and 4 fourth round. Very different. 4 fourth-round picks, Kyler and Bijan. And it's sleeper, and that's just the rules. I would get to keep the Bijan points, and obviously I would get the Hurt points when he comes over. And it just so happened to be against my opponent this week in the playoffs. So I would obviously take Hurts off of him, but he has Dak, so it's not really like he would lose much there. But my quarterback room is Sam Darnold and Jacoby Brissett, who's going up against the Houston Texans and might not make it out alive, let alone score a fantasy point. So I did think about making the move, but Diaz is so greedy that he put an offer out there that was too over the top that I couldn't even ignore dynasty principles and accept it, even though I wanted to. So I don't know what you guys would have done. I actually text Scott. It's very rare that I text Scott or ask anyone about a trade, to be honest with you. So I text Scott. I even DM'd Scott Phalange, Dino Jacks. That's not his last name, but whatever. It's close enough. He hasn't gotten back to me. Thanks, bro. But I eventually just decided to reject it, and now I'm trying to do something else. I don't know what would you have done, Ty?
I think the start 3 running backs changes a lot of math for me. And in the same way that tight ends, it's hard to find a good value in those 2x2 type leagues. Start 3 running backs, the prices go pretty crazy. And someone like a Bijan, like those running backs that can count for a running back and a half in your lineup just become infinitely more valuable in those leagues. And I believe this one is a 12 by 13. So it's pretty deep as well.
Yeah.
I don't like the idea of having to add on top of Bijan to get into Jalen Hurts just to check the box at quarterback when, again, how many spot starts can you find across the league right now? Like, yes, you don't like the Sam Darnold or like the Jacoby Brissett matchups. Okay, understandable for sure. How hard are you going to be kicking yourself if you make that deal and Jalen Hurts puts up a stinker, right? And then you're out Bijan, who was like, that's the crooked number guy. You could have started Shador Sanders last week and got a 39. You didn't anticipate it's going to come, but I've become so much more comfortable playing grummier at the quarterback position that if I can get a shot at someone like a Bijan, that's something I'm going to prioritize. And I don't really feel like adding on Kyler and fourths and whatever else it would take to get it done.
Yeah, I think the two interesting points are you're playing this person. They were willing to basically do the deal with you, made you pay the tax.
Mm-hmm.
Undoubtedly, if they beat you this week, they have their cake and eat it too. They defeated your Bijan, traded away Hurts. I think the other thing is key is they have Lamar, Dak, and Hurts.
Right.
So you're not denting them at all by taking Hurts. I have that exact same conundrum between those 3 quarterbacks. I still don't even know which 2 I want to play. So the fact is, like, you're not hurting them at all by taking Hurts. They're protecting that spot on there. This is how he's probably viewing the trade. He's protecting that QB3 on his roster because he's getting Kyler back.
Yeah.
So he's having his cake, eating it too. He gets Bijan next week if he beats you. Then the fourths or whatever. But I look at it as like, he's probably already sweating a little bit beating you because you have Bijan, right? He sees the score. But it's also a start 13. So just remember, Bijan's a great start, but in a start 13, that 13 is a lot harder to lock down with one player than is start 10. Start 10, like if you get Bijan or Pitts' numbers, that's a huge chunk of what the points are for the matchup that week. Start 13, it could be swayed by the 13th and 12th player, and those are just randoms that you threw in. You either get Trey Tucker for 30 or you get a guy with a 0. So just the elasticity of the matchup is a lot wider here. So I'm not as scared of the Bijan score, even if you've already posted it. So I think it's very high risk, high reward for you, Shane. If you get Hurts and he smashes and you knock out this team that's clearly set up better than you, you may go on and win the title. You still lose the trade probably once you get to the offseason, but it could help you propel yourself to the title. If he wins this matchup this week, like, I think he's looking at it like, well, I lose. I'm already down 38 points against Bijan. But, dude, if I win, I already staved off Bijan, and I have him, and I don't need Hurts. Like, he's probably the overwhelming favorite. So I see it from his end. I think the upside is higher on the other side, and the risk is greater for you. So I think I'd go back to him and see if you think he would do it straight up with just the fourth. Does it have to be that Kyler as the throw in?
It's DS, so you already know the answer to that. It's like negotiating with terrorists that have your children.
And you know what? He has a ton of leagues. And so if this one gets knocked out, he probably does not care.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. He'll just move on to the next league. Like, all right, let's move this one down on this slider scale on Sleeper, and we'll try it next year. Now, if he wins this week, either way, I'll never hear the end of it. Either way now at this point. So if there is a God, he or she needs to be pulling for me, so I don't have to hear it.
Has he put Jalen Hurts in the lineup?
He's in the lineup right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What's interesting is Hurts' matchup isn't actually good because the Raiders are so bad that they are out of the game so early that
you better get his in the first quarter. Otherwise, it's 24-0 at halftime, and they go, Jalen, just don't get injured.
Yeah, he's just going to – I mean, this could be a game legitimately where Saquon and Tank Bigsby both have 20 rushing attempts because the Raiders are that bad at running the rush defense, excuse me.
Yeah.
Legit. Yeah. Pray for that tush push formation early on in the game and get those touchdowns early. I'm sitting there in that league, Shane. I have both yours and Diaz's first. So I just hope you two cannibalize each other. And, I benefit from this. But
And they do the trade at the last minute and they both like fail to set their lineup correctly. That would benefit Ty somehow.
But hopefully this show benefited you, the listener. It's been fun doing these all year, and this is crunch time. So good luck in your leagues. Hit us up, Sweatpants in the chat for a good show. And a big thank you to Tanner H, Roy G, Mr. Jordan Jackson, McQuinn, M. Talbot, Buck Wilder, FF, Matt D, TaylorMade, Not Great Bob, and Jeffrey Jacobs, and all you for tuning in. We are the Dynasty Deal Show. Again, good luck this week. We love y'all. Take care, and we out of this thing. Peace.